because that's the one she used. And sometimes I thought she'd never stop.
That's right.
And then she would say, I'm doing this because I love you.
That's right.
Yeah, right. Because I love you. And then later on, as I thought about it, she was doing it because if you don't discipline them, guess what? The jail system will.
That's right.
The jail system will do it. And the way they discipline them is not positive and it's not good. I'm not dead. I'm not violent. And I wish I would go to a telephone and say, I'm calling the social worker to tell her you whipping me. Where they get that from today? And telling us as African Americans that we don't whip our children. That's how we raise our children.
That's right.
I was terribly upset when they got onto the football player for whipping his son. Now, there's a difference between a telephone cord and a switch.
It is.
Now, if there are marks that are left, if there are bruises and scratches, that is abuse.
That's right.
But the derriere, it has a lot of meat back there. I don't have much, but I have enough. And my mother made sure that she touched it with that switch. So you have to discipline your children.
Right.
If you don't discipline your children, they'll discipline you.
That's right.
They will tell you what to do.
That's right.
They will actually tell you what to do. You know, it's amazing that in the school system, the superintendent's afraid of the teachers are afraid of the parents are afraid of the children. The children have everybody scared.
Amen.
You can't tell them anything.
That's
And
right.
don't say something to them. Parents will come and get on you, and then children turn around and say, you can go home now. It's a sad life.
Yes, it is.
You must discipline your children so that they don't discipline you.
Amen.
Mother has a strong right hand.
Yes, she does.
She used to do those trio switches. They weren't abuse, but it was discipline. And it said, you have to listen. And when children learn to listen to you, they will know how to listen to God.
That's right.
Yes.
Did you know that? They will learn how to listen to God. One final thing on that note is discipline children differently. Now, some children you can talk loud, sit down.
That's right.
And then the others you say, sit down, and they just turn into a ball of tears. Oh, they're so sensitive.
That's right.
So you don't treat them all the same.
That's right.
Psychology and the research tell us that all children have different personalities,
They do.
different attitudes, and they perceive life differently. So you have to see what your child's temperament is like, and
right.
that is the way that some of them you can just take something from.
Yes.
Some of them you say, go sit down over there and don't get back up. Then there's some you have to, give a little tap, tap, tap to,
That's right.
or a little bit tap, 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 or a little more tap, 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 tap. You get it? Got it? Good. So every child is different. Next point. While you're tapping and spanking and trioing the switches and all of that, don't provoke your children to anger.
That's what it says.
I have to tell you.
That's the word.
That's what the word said.
That's it.
It said, do not provoke your children to wrath. And that's found in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. It says, do not provoke your children to wrath. And in Colossians 3:21, here we are. We're learning again. You don't usually hear this, but it says, lest they become discouraged. You can discourage children.
Yes, you can.
You can discourage them. Some parents, you're nothing. You're stupid. You're ugly. You're dumb. Some people have been told that.
Yes.
And what's sad about it is that the parent believes it and they transmit it to the children.
That's right.
We are all God's children.
That's
We are
right.
all of value. Nobody is stupid. Nobody is dumb. Nobody is ugly. We are all beautiful. You're beautiful to me right now, but you're beautiful in God's eyesight. And so we want to transmit that to children. Don't make them angry. Don't put them down. Do not verbally assault them on every hand. You made a B, why did you make an A? You made an A, so everybody else probably did too. No, you encourage them.
That's right.
You may not have been encouraged, but you learn to encourage your children. You learn to say something positive to, for, and about them.
That's right.
There are two godly mothers I have to mention, and there's one that's not so godly. Well, she was godly, but she didn't raise him the right way. We know that Moses' mother, we salute her today because she raised him, didn't she? Even though he was a member of the royal family,
Amen.
You know, he wore that ring that was a stamp.
Amen.
He actually had all of this on him that says, I'm royalty. I will be next in line to be a Pharaoh. And he could have been. Moses was trained in the arts. Moses was trained as an engineer. Moses was trained in every way. That's why he could lead the children of Israel through many wars and battles. He was trained.
Amen.
But he had a godly mother
Yes.
that said, all of this is temporal, baby.
Yes.
This is passing.
Yes.
You are a child of the King of the universe. And when we get to heaven, we will see Moses. King Tut has turned to dust years ago. Pharaoh has turned to dust. And we don't know which Pharaoh is which one, but we know who Moses is, don't we?
Yes.
We also know that Samuel's mother was another godly woman. She didn't have any children. She prayed for children. Her husband, unfortunately, had 2 wives, and one would abuse her and laugh at her and talk about her and call her childless. And in that era, it was a terrible thing to be without children, but she stayed with God.
Yes.
She went in that temple and she prayed. Women, you have to stay with God.
Yes.
You have to talk to him day and night. You have to tell him what you need and what you want, whether you are a mother or not, whether you are the mother of your brothers or your sisters, whether you are a godmother, whatever mother you are. And long story short, she raised the greatest prophet in all Israel. His name was Samuel. But then there was another mother who was indulgent. She pleases me well. Who was that? None other than the mother of Samson. Had they given Samson more boundaries, had they given Samson more discipline, Samson would have been a better man. Samson would not have died pulling down pillars of people on top of himself blind. When you indulge your children, you are leading them to an early death.
Come on now.
Mothering, parenting, no, it's not easy. There's no manual that comes with them. When my husband bought my car, he handed me the manual. I looked in the glove compartment, and there was the manual. And it tells you everything to do. Well, we don't have that with children.
Come on now.
And it's not easy. But
That's
we
right.
do have a manual that's been left.
The Word of God.
Amen.
The Word of God. This is your manual. Everything I just told you comes from this very book. If you would just trust the Bible, God will help you. You have done the best that you can, mothers. Mothers, you've done the best that you can.
Amen.
Don't go back and saying, I should have, I wish I had, I didn't do. You did the best you could.
Did my job.
You did what God told you to do.
That's right.
You did what you thought was best. And because of that, I've written an acrostic for you, and I want to share it with you, and I want you to listen very carefully. You have done the best that you can. M is for magnificent. Mothers, you're magnificent.
Amen.
You really are. You are magnificent. O is for outstanding. You're actually outstanding. T is for tremendous. Honey, back there holding that baby, you are tremendous.
Amen.
H is for hardworking.
Yes.
Mother, sitting in the middle, looking very proud in the back of the beige, my friend, you really are tremendous. I guess I'll tell you that at camp meeting when I see you. And hardworking. E, in the green, in the black, in the black, in the blue, in the white, in the red, you are actually exceptional. R is for righteous. And righteous doesn't mean that you're holier than thou, but you are righteous because God has cleansed you with his blood.
Amen.
But now, did you notice that there's no P in mother? There's no P in mother. How do you spell mother? M-O what? Spell
T-H-E-R.
mother.
M-O-T-H-E-R.
M-O-P-H-E-R. M-O-T-H-E-P.
No.
M-O-P-P-P-T-H. No. Well, guess what? There is no P for perfect because we aren't perfect. Mother is magnificent, outstanding, tremendous, hardworking, exceptional, and righteous, but not perfect. God does not expect you to be perfect.
Amen.
He expects you to do the best that you can.
Amen.
And to call upon him and claim his promises.
Yes.
That's all he requires of you. He doesn't, you can't be perfect. You will never be perfect. And if you think you're going to be perfect, you'll have a nervous breakdown and you'll be in my office and I'll be giving you counseling. And all I'm going to say is that you're not perfect. Ellen White in the Adventist Home, she says this, and I just have to share it with you, and then we're going to wrap it up. She says, and listen carefully, God above and the light and glory from his throne rests upon the faithful mother as she tries to educate her children to resist the evil influences of evil. Can I have the little brown book in there, Elder? I want to read that for you one more time. And I want to share this with you. Ellen White says, God above, the other one. God where?
Above.
And the light and glory from his throne. Repeat after me. And the light and glory from his throne, thank you, rest upon the faithful mother.
Rest upon the faithful mother.
As she tries to educate her children.
As she tries to educate her children.
To resist the influence of evil.
To resist the influence of evil.
And it says, and I will paraphrase it because I won't read it all, but it says that she's better than an author who writes a book. She's better than a poet who writes a poem. She's better than a painter who paints a picture on the canvas. She is God's Almighty. Isn't that beautiful?
Amen.
They're great, but you're even greater. Mothers, you are leaders.
That's right.
And your children follow you.
That's right.
Now I can tell you about the 21 ducks in a row.
All right.
My husband and I were walking in the park on Thursday. And I whenever I'm getting ready to speak, that's my inspiration. I go to the park and I walk through the trees and God just speaks to me. He just tells me what he wants. And it just comes and it just flows. This is what he does. And on Thursday, we were walking through the park and we were just about finished and on our way to the car. And we were walking around the lake. I want you to imagine this with me. There was a big, beautiful lake. We had walked through the path of the park, and now we were walking around the lake. And on the lake are lots and lots of ducks.
That's right.
Here we are with the ducks again. You know how it is at the park. Beautiful ducks, brown ducks, red and yellow, red and white and black ducks. Ducks with little hints of blue on them, all kinds of ducks. And as we were just about to exit and go to the car, I saw these people standing with their cameras. And they were all like this. And so I thought they were just taking a picture of the beautiful water. And so I kind of bent. And as I bent, I looked and guess what was on the river? There was a mother duck and 21 little ducks in a row swimming across the river.
Wow.
That was God. Most beautiful sight I have ever seen. He was telling me to tell you that he's like that mother duck to you.
That's right.
All you have to do is follow him
Yes.
and stay